Whenever you have sudden changes in your data and the type of patients coming or patients not improving, if we have captured the data properly over a period of time, like it happened in this particular state, suddenly from certain parts of Maharashtra you started getting a large number of patients which were not responding to treatment, and that's how the laboratory diagnosis of a variant of COVID-19 virus came out after analysis. So that was because data coming out from these pockets gave out signals that you need to not only look at the patient but also the agent which is causing that disease, and that is the COVID virus, and that's how we came across the variants which need a little different management protocols. We are all presently talking about the third wave, and how did this third wave prediction came. This is called as mathematical modeling based on the previous data of phase 1 and phase 2, and that's how they started. You can predict, it may be right or wrong, but you can at least predict that we need to be prepared because there is a likelihood that the children will get affected, or those who are still vulnerable and who have not been vaccinated are the type of patients who are likely to increase in that particular phase. We don't want pandemics to come again and again, but what lessons we learned through the documentation of this pandemic management will help us and guide us to be prepared for future pandemics. So when we sort of collect data, there are certain things which we need to keep in mind. This data belongs to a person, and without their consent it cannot be shared with anybody, or it cannot be disclosed to the public at large. So there is an important part which each one who collects the data has to keep, and that is the data confidentiality, which is indirectly the patient data confidentiality. Once you have collected the data, because patients keep on coming, so the load keeps on increasing, and at some stage you will have to put this data into storage so that there is adequate space and area for the new data to be captured. So how safely you can store? So there are many gadgets, many methods by which you can, and in medico legal cases, as you know, we may have to keep sometimes the data lifelong, or at least for 20-30 years. So this is how there are guidelines from government how to store it, how long to store it, and when it is not required, how to dispose that data so that it is not falling into the hands of the wrong people. When you collect data, especially during pandemics, for administrative purpose and for documentation and seeing the burden of the disease, we need to share this data with other agencies, which may be government agencies who are responsible for planning for the patient management and the administrative decisions which could be taken. So when one shares the data, there are certain guidelines so that what we have seen, that the confidentiality is maintained, and also the data that is sent is in a coded form, so that inadvertently, if it falls in the wrong hands, it is not misused. When you are going to collect data, store it, at some time you may have to retrieve the data. So there are certain guidelines which are already in existing as how careful you should be when you are retrieving the data and then you are handing it over to the concerned person who has asked for it after appropriate verification. So one needs to remember that this data collection comes with a lot of responsibility as well, so that people are not hesitant to give you that data, especially the personal details which a patient gives to you. It is our responsibility to maintain confidentiality. So there are different teams, like it's not a one-person job. So at every section there are teams which are formed, and the number of people in the team may vary depending on the burden of the patients or the burden of the work which is there. So I've just listed a few teams which were working in collaboration with each other during this particular pandemic. So one was collecting the data, the other one, they were collecting this and entering into the appropriate HIMS systems. There was another team who was looking at the data and analyzing it, preparing the appropriate reports to be handed over to the different government agencies. Data sharing and reporting systems. So there were many portals, like we had the corporation portal, we had the state government portal, as well as the national portal. So every day there is a fixed time where this data needs to be uploaded so that they can be seen by the concerned authorities. And there is one team which is just looking at proper storage of the data, and if required there is another retrieval data team where if somebody needs the data for, say, medico-legal purpose, insurance purpose or research, after following the requisite guidelines, the data is then shared, retrieved and then shared with those concerned person. So when we were collecting the data, we have the manual way we collected some of the data in Sassoon electronically. What is a source document? It is the actual case paper where right from admission to discharge, each and everything happening to the patient, including the reports, are captured, and that is going to be a permanent source document. So for medico-legal purpose, this is stored up to 20 to 30 years, and for the non-medico-legal, you can dispose of this after 5 years of following appropriate guidelines which have been laid down. With the use of the mobile phones, WhatsApp and emails which could be shared from the patient area of the COVID-19 affected patients to the doctors who are manning this particular teams, or talking to their relatives and sharing some details about the patient which they were concerned. So WhatsApp emails were used, though they are not the right modes of data transfer unless you have the right rules, regulations which you are following. Telephonically, sometimes the data was collected when there were issues with collecting data on the manual ways and where urgent data was required. So how was it spread out in Sassoon Hospital? So we have a preventive and social medicine department. It's also called as community medicine department, and there was a team of doctors, interns who were collecting the data manually, because that time we did not have data entry operators. So you can imagine there are 400, 500, 600 patients, and you need to capture the data of each and every patient who are admitted over there. So that was done in the initial phase manually. Then there was a corona cell, data cell which was created, where all the data was then centrally collected, entries were made, analysis, reporting, storage and confidentiality maintained. So we had to create a separate data cell where all the data collected from the patients was then collated together. Also the daily admissions, discharges, how many were critical patients, how many deaths have occurred that particular day. The timing was from midnight to midnight. So 24 hours was calculated from midnight to the next day midnight, and that's how the data that was collected was then uploaded. The hospital superintendent's office also consolidated the data, and especially more so about the death audits, which were then the interpretations or the findings were then communicated to the clinicians, who would then modify their ways if required from the results that came out of the death audit. The microbiology department, who was responsible for the rapid antigen tests and the RT-PCR for COVID, they had to collect the data, collect the samples, process it, run the samples and give out the results, and at the same time they have to upload the final results on the ICMR portal. So that huge activity was going on in the microbiology department, as well as the pathology and the biochemistry laboratories. So when you have so much of human resource that is required to run the hospital, especially in COVID times, then we need to arrange their duties. So that is also a form of data where the doctors available, nurses, ward attendant, technicians, their records were kept and their duties were arranged according to the requirement as 6 hours duty or 8 hours or 12 hours duties. So the duties, responsibility of this duty management was made by a team of doctors who would look after the duty arrangement of the resident doctors and the faculty as well as the technicians. Whereas when it came to the nurses, the matron was responsible for it. Class 4 and the ward attendants, security staff, social workers, they were all handled by the Deputy Superintendent Department. And of course the corona data cell, you had in charge doctors, data entry operators and stenographers who were all pulled in from the human resource of the hospital, and they were doing this particular job of manpower data management. When it comes, especially because it's a medical college and simultaneously research activities were also going on, we needed ethical approval, consenting of the patients, and data collection and management under research mode. So those documentations are totally different, and all this data is very, very important ethically as well as for subsequent publication of the findings, and consenting of the patient becomes very important, that needs to be preserved. Coming to the sharing, whom did we share it? So between the departments at the hospital level, with the Directorate of Medical Education and Research based in Mumbai, the municipal corporations of Pune and Pimpri Chinchwad, the Maharashtra State Health Department, the IDSP cell which looks after the disease surveillance of such pandemics or infectious diseases, and the central health departments in Delhi. So all this data that was collected from one hospital in Pune was shared with all these people. So any data management is not without the challenges. We also faced it, and we have just enumerated a few of them over here. As far as equipment is concerned, electronic equipment shortage was felt in the initial phase, which was then later on with acquisition of the laptops, etc., we could tide over it. Timely update, renewal of printers. So it is all related to the accessories that are required for the data capture. So one needs to have adequate, and in pandemic situations it sometimes is not possible. In fact, during the period of lockdown, it was very difficult even to get the printer cartridges. So then we had to go back to the manual data entries, and when the cartridges, etc., and the laptops became available, it was then entered back into the databases. As far as manpower is concerned, who were dedicated to data management, as you have seen, many of the doctors were doing those jobs actually, and we are never trained in a very formal way to capture this data. So many times there used to be duplications or some errors. So a training program which could not be held because of just the workload and the number of patients that were coming in. So that was another challenge, how to collect the correct data and without too much of exertion of the existing manpower. Timely audits of data management and interpretation of data when the workload is too much becomes a hassle, because most of the manpower you will find during pandemics is geared to look after the patients so that they settle down, they get better and they go home. So at times the data analysis and the interpretation was delayed. The last part is the psychosocial issues. That is human nature, that it's not my job. So you are not motivated that much, that the importance of data has not been realized for you. So when you have less motivated people, they will feel that this is not a very important thing and this is somebody else's job, my job is different. So your counseling and sort of having awareness and training programs for the people who are collecting data becomes very important, and this is what we did and made sure that the data captured at Sassoon is the actual authentic data. The next part, which is always, is that somebody needs to be like a supervisor in making sure that the data comes in correctly. If you are too strict about it, people go back foot and may not send you the correct data on time, and then you are in trouble. So it's all basically certain barriers which need to be overcome. So how can we improve data collection is provision and planning for pandemics, so that you have enough electronic gadgets and capturing data which is available. Training becomes an important part for manpower recruitments and making them aware of what is the right way of taking data. Audit simultaneously needs to be given, because audits always give you feedback. And even though there is a burden of patient, this needs to be taking place simultaneously with the feedback that is given. And of course, make people feel that data collection is as important as patient care, because patient care ultimately depends on what data you have collected, and when you analyze, you know that whether you are right or wrong, or it is something else which needs to be looked in for better patient outcomes. So I will stop here by just saying that data maintenance is everyone's duty and responsibility, and you don't need to have a separate data entry operators who are actually ideal if they are trained in medical data collection, but until such time that they are available, I think we all of us need to be data entry operators come clinicians, and that is what we did at Sassoon. So thank you very much.